Okay, we're live. Hey, so Ariel Ellis here, author of The Original Millennial, and so excited to introduce to you another Original Millennial. Now, this particular video is super special because I'm in my hometown, and if you've been watching the series, the Thought Leadership series, The Original Millennial, you've seen me have chats with millennials from all across the country, some very special people who've been super successful under the age of 35, some even under the age of 25, who've been doing some awesome things in their business and in their local communities and even internationally. You'll see soon, there's some folks who've been doing some great international work too. But this particular video, I'm in my hometown, Memphis, Tennessee, and I am reconnecting with this gentleman here who I've known for several years now, who is also an original millennial and one of the pioneering millennials in business and community here in Nashville. Nashville. I'm so used to saying Nashville, here in Memphis. So I'm excited to introduce you to Edward Bogard. He's founder and
Chief Soul Giver.
Chief Soul Giver of
Yes.
Soul Give. It's the world's first nonprofit shoe company,
Yep,
right?
That's right, shoe design company.
So
First.
he's gonna talk a lot about the work that he does, and we're actually in his office, in his kind of studio, if you will. He's gonna show you some shoes, and we're gonna talk about what it means to be a millennial who is running a social venture. Many of the millennials that we talk to, of course, under the original millennial concept, are thought leaders and have decided to create businesses that are not only just for profit, but also are for purpose. And Ed embodies that in every way with his work that he does. So it's only right that we feature him in this series. So Ed, talk to us about, or tell those who are watching, because
Yes.
I know,
Right.
but those who are watching, speak about how you got here. What's your story?
Absolutely. Well, I would design shoes in elementary school, redesigning all of the classic Air Jordans that you see a lot of the kids now wearing. And I would, all of the retro Air Jordans, I would redesign them and put out Air Bogard on them, which was my last name, which is now on a shoe. But I would put Air Bogard on them. I'd have a classroom full of kids around me by the end of math class or whatever it was, just kind of hovering over me, watching me do my thing, design. And it just continued to grow. From there, I began to study, all different types of footwear designers, from the Tinker Hatfields, who designed all of the Air Jordans, all of the iconic ones anyway. I would study him, and that led me to receiving a portfolio scholarship to attend the Savannah College of Art and Design in Savannah, Georgia, where I earned my BFA in product industrial design. And it just, again, it grew each year. I would see improvements, and I would study the footwear industry more and more and more. And it just kept growing and growing. And to finally, some 10 years later, I birthed the world's first nonprofit shoe design company, which means we manufacture, design, and distribute our own shoe. There are companies or organizations out there, for-profit entities that, do it's a similar motto, but it's not nonprofit. Or the ones that are nonprofit, they're giving shoes that aren't their own branded shoe. So that's what kind of makes us unique and special. And also the fact that we give locally to different cities. So maybe your city, whoever is viewing this right now, to kids and homeless families in need in those cities. So it's more transparent. It's a more transparent way of so giving, is what we call it. So give, the name was derived from every pair of souls we give, taking the S-O out of soul and G-I-V out of give. And through the organization, we raise awareness towards worthy causes and donate proceeds to benefit those organizations.
That's awesome. So why not, one of the key things about millennials is that a lot of times we're choosing original millennials. Mm-hmm. We're choosing profit, we're choosing purpose over profit. Mm-hmm. Why do you choose purpose over profit?
Purpose over profit, it really goes back to my mom being a school teacher for 35 years in the Memphis City area. She taught school and would take all of my clothes that I had outgrown, some that I haven't outgrown that we're still in season. I wake up in the morning looking for my outfit, and it's in her locker room. In her, like, you know, and I just didn't understand what she was doing at the time. I didn't get it. And what she was doing was teaching me at a very early age how to pay it forward, how to give back to those who aren't as fortunate as you are. And it just kind of stuck with me well into adulthood. And the artistic side comes from my father. You know, I would just make him draw all of, you know, my favorite, you know, comics. Like, you know, my favorite was Clark Kent running and changing into Superman. And he was an amazing artist, and he could draw these things better than the comics, in my opinion. I mean, they were amazing. So those two people, my mom and father, late father, who passed away from two of the causes that we represented, so give heart awareness and diabetes awareness. But, you know, that just kind of instilled in me at a very early age, you know, like how to give back by using my God-given talent of design.
So show us a shoe. You
Sure.
have a couple here.
I have a few shoes here.
A few shoes. Kind of walk us through.
I think this one's glowing.
And
so
I've got Periscope going, y'all, just in case you see who I'm on.
So this is our, you know, really our first ever design shoe. This is our running shoe. It's featured in the commercial. If you go to sogive.org, that's our official website, you'll see this particular shoe in the commercial with people doing something like this, reiterating our tagline, which is every pair sold we give, but it features 7 continents. So there's Africa, North America. Some of their more notable continents are featured on the shoe. And it's a very, it becomes educational at that point. And this is the way we're able to teach the kids their 7 continents through effective shoe design. So we have several adopted schools in the Memphis City area that we've adopted, and it's the most gratifying thing in the world to hear a kid say that he's able to, you know, think back to Mr. Bogard's shoe design and geography test, and, you know, kind of spit out his 7 continents. I get a kick out of the amount of adults, however, that don't know their 7 continents.
Wow.
I get a thrill, and just to see a show of hands of the kids, and they just like that, you know, and it's so cool. Again, they're able to revert back to our shoe designs. And again, as a philanthropic designer, it's a term that I kind of created and adopted. It's what I do. Every design goes back to a greater cause. That's the most gratifying, one of the most gratifying things.
Show us the one that you designed for the Memphis Food Bank.
Yes, so the Mid-South Food Bank shoe. To date, this shoe has provided over 10,000 meals. One pair, just one single pair, provides 150 meals. Because for every $1 you donate to the local food bank, wherever you are, it provides 3 meals. So we were able to cram, you know, that into a $50 shoe, a retail, you know, a shoe that retails at $50. And it's tax deductible. Where else in the world can you go and purchase a shoe and write it off at the end of the year? So that's a really awesome, you know, aspect of the shoe as well. The 7 continents was like kind of our signature mark, swoosh, if you will, whatever you want to call it. It's the 7 continents, and again, it's featured on every single shoe design for So Give. Our tagline is on the inside there. I don't know if you can really see it, but it's visible at sogive.org. And yeah, this has just been an amazing partnership because, as I said, today, we've a little less than a year later of launching this shoe last year has provided over 10,000 meals, and it's continuing to grow.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you.
What about the challenges that you faced as a millennial with a social venture? It's hard enough to be a millennial.
Yes.
One, it's just in the workplace.
Right.
And then it's extra hard to be a millennial in business because a lot of us are choosing to be entrepreneurs. And some of us are forced to be entrepreneurs just based on the economy that we experience.
That's true.
So considering that you're millennial and you've decided to create a business that is, you know, less focused on profit, more focused on purpose. What types of challenges have you faced?
Let's see. One of the biggest challenges, because it's such an amazing concept, is that no organization that we ever partner with at So Give is out of any out-of-pocket costs. They're out of 0 out-of-pocket costs. That comes directly from corporate sponsors. So I'll just use a couple in mind, like for the food bank shoe, Hilton Worldwide and Kroger's. These are international companies, large and small. That's where, the funds, the sponsorship dollars come from to design a limited edition So Give shoe with a partner organization. So that would probably be kind of at the top because, we're only 4 years old. We just celebrated 4 years of So Giving is what we call it.
Congrats.
Thank you. And, so just as you continue to build your brand, it's something completely, out of the box, no pun intended. It's new, it's different, right? So being able to get in front of a potential sponsor and let them know where their dollars are going, which again is the beauty of So Giving because it's the transparency. You actually see where your sponsorship dollars are going, and they're able to come out, their PR team, different people are able to come out and pass out the shoes to the kids, in the local communities. But it's replicating that and doing it more and more and more so that it kind of goes without seeing. But definitely in the initial stages of So Giving, that has probably been one of the most difficult things, but less difficult things too, because so many companies have kind of come to us impressed by the work that we're doing. So it goes both ways. The Westin Hotel won Hotel Community Service of the Year, Westin Memphis Beale Street. I was a barista at Starbucks, first job out of college. And, I was not the best coffee maker. I'll tell you the story where I gave a lady coffee. No, I took her money, gave her exact change back, told her have a great day, provided great customer service. I was always good at that part. And she had no coffee. She came back an hour later and I gave her a venti, I upsized her. But it was, but I love telling that story because we became, community partners with Starbucks. And they became community partners in our So Give Coffee initiative, which we go downtown Memphis and give cups of coffee or Tazo tea if the homeless people aren't coffee drinkers, and give to the homeless people in downtown Memphis during the winter months.
Wow.
So, but yeah, so it kind of goes both ways. That's been one of the most difficult things, to say the least. But also, on the other end, it hasn't been that difficult because they see us, they read about us, we get a ton of press, which is a blessing. So yeah, pros and cons of.
Are there any specific challenges that you think you have encountered that are more relative to your local community?
Challenges. Yeah, it's kind of always tough to win the home team over first. I think you have to do something more along the lines of like a national venture to really grab their attention. And I think that's everywhere. Is what I've found out. When you leave and come back successful, then they recognize you, right? So yeah, I mean, it's tough. You would think it'd be easier to capture, the likes of your hometown, and not to say that we haven't. We've been again blessed to receive amazing media attention, but there are some people still who don't know what So Give is, and we're birthed right here in Memphis. So it has been challenging.
What would you say about the millennial business community, nonprofit community here in Nashville? How much of that community have you really been engaged in? How much of that work do you feel like you've contributed to? And how has that work and those people kind of inspired and impacted you?
You know what? One of the coolest stories to date, I mean, there are a lot of cool stories, and I'm blown away with each of them. But we have a few adopted schools throughout the Memphis City area. One of those schools are Cherokee Elementary, kind of located in the Orange Mound area. And they once surprised me. I was just going over to make a routine drop from like a coat drive we just wrapped up, So Give a Coat, to deliver coats to the kids. And the entire staff, it was on a Friday, I'll never forget, they had turned every Friday for the remaining of the school year to kind of pay homage or appreciation to So Give and the many things that we do throughout the year for the kids whose, the average income is less than $10,000 in that community. So they really appreciated that. So every single janitor, I mean, I drove up on the parking lot. I'll never forget. Janitors were coming out in my So Give t-shirts, emptying the garbage. I mean, I'd be lying if I didn't say I didn't shed a tear. It was just so amazing. And I walk into the school and the entire faculty and staff has on So Give t-shirts. I was blown away. I was not expecting that. I was just going in to, give them the coats, from our So Give coat drive, Give Warmth coat drive that we had just wrapped up. So definitely can see, the impact in ways like that. Yeah, we've definitely impacted the local community in such ways as our, coat drive, toy drives. We have an initiative called So Give Code. We go into some of our adopted schools in these low, poverty-stricken areas and teach them the basics of code and coding and how to read and write code. It's a skill that's not taught here in the Memphis area. And it's really neat to see them kind of gravitate towards a skill that they would not have been exposed to otherwise.
That's interesting.
So,
how do you think other millennials locally are making an impact, and how do you feel like you've been able to maybe create some synergy with them?
Probably, I see more and more millennials, especially here in Memphis, and I hope I have something to do with it. But I see more and more trying to pay it forward, trying to give back through their businesses. And that's cool. These are for-profit businesses. And people who I knew, from the beginning of doing this, and we partner with a lot of them too. And so, but I can definitely see that, more millennials are trying to pay it forward. Definitely.
And it kind of goes back to the question I asked earlier about how you chose, perfect profit, or you chose perfect purpose instead of profit. And not necessarily instead of, but making that more of a priority. Why do you say millennials are more so doing that more now than ever?
I think that, I don't know, maybe it just kicked in finally, that it's bigger than us. I did this really starting out of the gates, as a very young man in my 20s at the time when I started doing this. It's just important to me. It's I don't know. It's that's my mission. That's my purpose on this earth. I get it. I understand it. But I think more millennials are starting to get it as well. They realize that, hey, it's bigger than the bottom line, the dollar amount. You gotta give something back and influence or impact someone less fortunate than you who may not have as much as you do. So I think that has something to do with it.
Yeah. A lot of the research that I've done in writing a book is tells to that or speaks to that. I think it's 2007, 2008.
Sure.
The social entrepreneurship model became really, really huge.
Sure.
And millennials had a whole lot to do with that. A lot of the things that I think we saw within our early years and within our generation is that our parents weren't really fulfilled with their jobs, or other relatives or other siblings, even grandparents weren't really fulfilled, and then trying to merge that fulfillment with their jobs, and in addition to the fulfillment with their personal lives, and community giving wasn't necessarily there. And then we also saw, with not, in addition to not getting the gratification, not getting the accolades and the support that was needed from, say, a boss or a supervisor or from a company to be able to give them the kind of support that they needed to grow and advance and feel like they were a high-level contributor. And that wasn't always appreciated. And also we saw, the economy tank in a variety of different, segments.
Definitely.
So I think that it seems as if, as we look at the numbers, as we look at how that whole movement has come about with social entrepreneurship, we've really been kind of like the model group, if you will, to create those social ventures.
Yeah, definitely. I think, and it's catching on. So giving is catching on. Nationwide from a national standpoint. We have an ambassador. I'm not going to disclose their name, but you know about them. And we're looking to launch their shoe first of the year. But they've been following us via social media well over 6 months, almost a year. And, it's just cool to see that type of response from doing good, and giving back, because that obviously helps us to increase our brand awareness. But it just lets you know you're doing something right. you know, to gain that type of attention, you know, from celebs, you know, who has, you know, they've already reached the masses.
Right.
So I think even they're, you know, they're getting it too, right? Like it's kicked in. It's bigger than them. It's bigger than their art, whatever their craft is. So you begin to see it more and more, like not only from, you know, our generation, but older.
Right.
Yeah.
I think also another question I want to ask you was related to just culture in general. Millennials have been extremely influenced by culture, but we've also been, culture has also chased us, if you will, to the point where what we see now culturally are a lot of things in response to our generation and what we want and who we are and how we try to define ourselves or try not to define ourselves. What element of culture do you think has impacted you the most with the work that you do?
Element of culture that has impacted me the most, I mean, you know it, Michael Jackson. Gave me my very first Michael Jackson doll when we grew up as kids.
That is hilarious. I always forget that.
Yes, and that was featured in one of the very first front pagers of our local newspaper in the business section. I shout out Michael Jackson. I was just always intrigued, you know, by his level of giving. When he passed away, they said that he gave more than any musician in history. And that is just so amazing to me to see a person use their God-given talent again and being able to give it back to people who aren't as fortunate as you are, who aren't as blessed as you are. So I felt like if I could figure that part out, then I'm doing okay in life. You know.
Now I would say, like, I would guess maybe that you would, like someone who designed shoes, like you would think you would say fashion or like art and design, but Michael Jackson.
Michael Jackson, I know that's, you never know where, and again, I mean, I pay all of the credit to like my mom and my dad, you know, like that's where it really happened.
But he was a model, like he
Michael
was the
Jackson
model for it.
He was definitely a model for it, you know, it goes, I mean, definitely.
In his music, as well as
Heal the
like
World, you know, We Are the World, Quincy Jones produced song. I mean, I mean, he was, to me, at that age, I'm an 80s baby, right? Like you. I mean, you know, that was happening. Like, that was so innovative at the time. Like, I don't know if it really has ever been duplicated to that level of giving and raising awareness. And we do both at So Give, you know? It's a global initiative. So Give's a global initiative, but we do both. We raise awareness and we donate proceeds through a shoe, you know, so.
So talk about the process of just running a business like this as a millennial. You've been able to, am I putting this back right? You've been able to really be successful and not only just here in Memphis, but have a brand that extends outside of Memphis because of the giving aspect of it in the social, you know, venture that's model that's completely built around it. What's that like? What's that like leading this kind of charge?
It's so, I'm re-inspired every single day. God blesses me to see another day. I mean, if I'm being completely honest, because I'm always inspired, one, by the growth, you know, just to see, I've had a, you know, little chance, you know, to reflect, you know, I mean, 4 years, it goes by fast. But when I go to the website and I see, I mean, it's basically a portfolio of all of the different ways of So Giving from the past 4 years. It's so re-inspiring to me. I'm just, I don't know, it's kind of indescribable, you know, to be in that role, in that position, like to know that I did that. You know, God allowed me to do that, rather. He used me to do that. I'm just a vessel. So I don't know, I just get re-inspired every single day. You know, I see people like you doing amazing things. You know, inspiration comes from, you know, people like you who I've known since a kid, you know, and I'm just inspired, be inspired to go further, faster, higher, bigger, better, you know, which is 2016. Is that a lot of
pressure? Is that ever a lot of pressure for you? Because I mean, especially with the social venture and wanting to be able to help people and knowing that there's such a tremendous need out there,
it is.
Right? Is that ever a lot of pressure for you?
You know, I mean, the beauty is that, you know, I have another chance to grow this concept every single day. So I just pray that I'm able to reach, you know, all the causes that we support currently at So Give, and those that we don't even know we're going to support someday. I pray that I'm able to do that before I leave this earth, you know, to make that type of impact, you know, from a global standpoint. But do I ever feel the pressure? Sometimes, you know, but also I have to remember that, you know, this is my purpose. So there really is no pressure. This is as high and far as I take it. And being the first to do it in this magnitude, it's pretty special in itself. There'll be duplicators, but I'll always hold that first, you know, position. And, you know, I mean, but you always want to be better. I mean, I grew up idolizing Michael Jordan. Every season he got better. Every year, you know, in the off season, he'd go in the gym and work on his game, and he got better. So taking work ethics like that from a design standpoint, R&D, research and development, and just wanting to grow it to something that's, I don't know, larger than life, unreal, where it's like a household name. It's more inspiring to me than the pressure. Like I'm not sweating about it. Like I'm more psyched or geeked to accomplish these things, you know, because I know I can. And I'm really only competing with myself.
Right.
So, yeah.
What do you think is the biggest misconception about millennials?
Biggest misconception about millennials, I just said this on a panel I spoke on about a week ago. We want it now. You know, like we don't know what it means to really wait. You hear that a lot more than ever, especially from our parents. You know, they say we're smarter, stronger, faster, but weaker, you know, when it comes to overcoming challenges and adversities and things of that nature. So I think you see a lot of millennials throwing in the towel too early. You know, they say it gets the hardest right before you succeed. So I think that's kind of our mentality. We don't know. I mean, we live in an age where everything happens instantly. I mean, you can tweet out something, or this video right here could be up in 7 continents, you know, like, and I just feel for the 90s babies and 2000s. I mean, we grew into this culture.
They grew up with it.
They grew up with it.
Yeah.
So
different.
It's so different, you know, so I'm thankful to grow into it, you know, versus, you know, being birthed, you know. So I kind of know what it means to wait. Yeah. I know that it's all a process. Rome wasn't built in a day. Yeah. And, you know, to stay the course, you know, because those are the ones who succeed. I mean, it dates back way before us, and it's still that way. You know, the ones who succeed are the ones who never gave up, and the ones who do not throw in the towel. I mean, I've tried throwing in the towel and God threw it back in my face. You know what I mean? When you understand your purpose in life, you don't even look at time. Yeah. Time is obsolete. It's out the window. It's true. You don't even, you know, this watch doesn't even work. You know what I mean? Like,
it's a nice watch, though.
Thank you very much. But I'm not looking at this watch. It's for decoration.
So what do you think? What do you think makes you an original millennial?
What makes me an original millennial? I'm the first to do this, you know, to this magnitude. I humbly say that. That probably came out cocky. I hope it did for those who are watching.
It was a humble brag.
It's my Kanye.
It's okay.
It's a Kanye.
That's what we do as original millennials. It was like humble brag.
Right. But no, let me bring it down a notch. What makes me an original millennial is that, you know, I've been blessed to, you know, birth the world's first nonprofit shoe design company. That in a nutshell, you know, and to see what we've done in a very short length of time, providing meals, thousands and thousands of meals through a shoe design to families in need across, you know, the globe. It's just pretty. That makes me original, without a doubt, because it's never been done before.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Last question, and you may say Michael Jackson.
Okay.
But last question: what song defines you as an original millennial?
What song defines me as original? Wow.
I'll give you, like, for instance, I
Okay.
interviewed someone who said that Juicy by Notorious B.I.G. was hers. And
Okay.
somebody picked a song by, is it Hillsong?
Oh man, United Touch the Sky?
Yeah, something like that. And then
Man,
somebody,
I love that song. I'm listening to it right now.
really?
Yes.
Somebody picked
Wow.
like a Tupac song. I mean,
Right.
our generation, right?
Generational, yes.
So what song do you think defines
by
you?
all of those songs and artists. You know, Tupac, Me Against the World. I mean, you know, Keep Your Head Up. Man, I mean, I'm a music head. Let's see, that falls in line to what I'm doing, right?
Yeah, who that defines you as an original millennial?
Man, I mean, I'm really feeling Drake's sound right now.
Okay.
Like, it's just, to me, he's...
Is there one song or one...
I love the intro of Nothing Was the Same.
Oh,
like
okay.
the way that transitions and the lyrically what he's saying. And I mean, his lyrics get to me like right now, like no other artist. You know, like I'm just motivated. I'm just inspired. I'm ready to go. You know, Charged Up, which was his, you know, one of his songs that he fired back at me earlier. I mean, you know, I listen to John Mayer. I listen to everybody.
Gotcha.
Justin Timberlake's Future Sex Love Sounds was an amazing album. The Turning Point. I mean, that's a classic. Michael Jackson's Thriller. I mean, I don't know. I'm inspired by so many artists and songs.
That sounds like an original millennial.
Yes.
I could have given you some time to think about it. I could have let you know what that question was. Too. But most folks think about it and have a song. But I think that music is so much of a part of the millennial generation.
Oh yeah.
Because we got it from everybody. We got it from our parents, and sometimes our grandparents. We get it from our friends. We get it from school. We get it from, you know, TV. We get it from online. Like, we get it from so many different places.
Absolutely.
And it really kind of shapes us, and it's really kind of like, you know, becomes. I think our generation, more than any other generation, is probably the generation that could have our own soundtrack.
Yes.
Completely.
Right.
And that soundtrack be from various
times
in life and at various points in the world, and have kind of these different theme songs, etc. Okay, share with everybody all of your social media links.
This has been interesting. I cannot wait to watch this back because we jokingly talked about, do we look here or do we look here? So now I'm talking.
Yeah.
Okay, what was the question? What am I sharing with these people?
You want to let everybody know how they can find you, how they can get the shoe, how they can follow you, and all that good stuff. Okay.
It is sogive.org, no E at the end of sogive, just SOGIV.org. If you type in sogive via Google, via any internet site, you'll find us. Twitter is sogive, @sogive. Instagram is @morethanashoe. And that's how you can find us. I mean, like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter, follow us on Instagram. That is it. Facebook is also @sogive. So
awesome.
Yes.
Well, I'm glad you were able to participate.
Thank you.
And
Thank you so much
really super excited for everything that you're doing and everything that you've been doing.
Thank you.
You guys can actually purchase the book, theoriginalmillennial.com, and you can follow on Twitter @theOGMillennial. We're The Original Millennial on Facebook. And I think we're The OG Millennial on Periscope if you kind of want to see what videos we might be teasing every once in a while, or if there are any of the millennials that are being featured in the series that are also going to be on Periscope, or maybe you see me speaking about millennials, which I do quite a bit. I'm recording that on Periscope as well. So again, follow, go to the website, theoriginalmillennial.com, and you can actually just enter in your information so that you'll get on the mailing list. You can get all the updates, so that when we post information about what SoGive is doing and what the other millennials and their companies and their organizations have going on, we'll share those updates with you, and you can sign up and subscribe for those. Thank you so much for watching.